What is up, guys, and welcome to this prediction video. For this one, the action takes us all the way back to England for the Premier League clash taking place on the 24th of February, that is this Saturday, between Arsenal and Newcastle at the Emirates Stadium in North London. Now, the last time the Gunners and the Magpies went head to head was at St James's Park on the 4th of November. Arsenal came into it as title contenders, while Newcastle were just enjoying being in the Champions League but also trying to solidify a European spot for next season. We had to wait all the way up until the 64th minute when eventually the home side, Newcastle, opened the scoring courtesy of Anthony Gordon. Now, the ball is played into Arsenal's box from the right wing, then it looks like it's going out and it's saved by Willock on the left, who resupplies it and reloads it back into the Arsenal box. A shot is taken at the keeper. He tries to block it, but yeah, he doesn't get his hands on it, so his handling is not that great, and Gordon is just there for the rebound. He blasts it past the keeper and makes it 1-0 to Newcastle, and that's exactly how it stays. Newcastle, I think, with a little bit of solace coming into this match. Obviously, they were in a terrible run of form in the Champions League, so with this one, it at least gave them a bit of hope for next season, while for Arsenal, it left them with a bit of soul searching to do because it severely dented their title campaign. We start off our team analysis with the Gunners. The last 5 matches for Arsenal have ended in 4 wins and a single loss. Unfortunately, their last match was in fact that loss, a 1-0 loss away at Porto in the UEFA Champions League. Arsenal did okay up until the end when they let things slip. I think the first player that we have to talk about in this fixture for Arsenal has got to be Bukayo Saka. With 15 goals and 12 assists, Saka brings pace, trickery, creativity out wide, but he's gotten so many goals and assists this season that it's hard to not look at him and think that he's the star of this Arsenal squad. I think, however, that might count against him at times because it seems that Arsenal have become overly dependent on him. Next up, I want to talk Martin Odegaard with 8 goals and 6 assists. The new Gunners captain has been, I would say, average by his amazing standards. Usually, Odegaard is that player who just finds an extra gear. He's the player that Arsenal look to start their attacks and to just get all of these crazy assists and these goals from range, but he hasn't really hit that height that has been expected of him. And speaking of not hitting expected heights, the last player I want to talk about is Declan Rice. With 4 goals and 5 assists, I know a lot of people are thinking what I'm talking about here when it comes to Declan Rice, but when you look at what he did for West Ham, he's not gotten anywhere near that level when it comes to Arsenal. Right now, he's been okay, just keeping Arsenal solid, keeping their midfield stable. But I think that when Arsenal signed Declan Rice, they expected a little bit more. They expected a well-rounded midfielder who can do multiple jobs at once, and he hasn't done that yet. Thankfully, this is the perfect match for him to step up to the plate and deliver the goods. Next up, we look at the away side, Newcastle. The last 5 matches for the Magpies have ended in 3 wins and 2 draws, meaning they come into this one on an undefeated streak. Their last match was a 2-2 draw at home against Bournemouth in the Premier League. I think for Newcastle, it's been a bit of a stop-and-go season. In terms of European stages, they've been quite lackluster, but then again, they were in a group with AC Milan, Borussia Dortmund and PSG. Standout player for them this season has got to be Alexander Isak with 14 goals. I think Newcastle have really struggled without Isak. Unfortunately, he's been missing for large parts of the season, and it's really shown in their results. He's back now, and their fans will be hoping that he's able to hit the ground running as soon as possible. Next up, I want to talk Bruno Guimaraes with 3 goals and 6 assists. Guimaraes is not really the player you think of when it comes to getting crazy amounts of goals and assists. Being Brazilian, we probably expect him to be this dribbling wizard with all sorts of skills and tricks up his sleeve, but he's proven to be more than that. He's proven to be a player who can control the tempo of the game, who can dictate play, who can just keep Newcastle solid but do so much extra for them. So it just goes to show that when they need somebody to just delivers something new from midfield, he's the guy they're looking to. And next up, I want to talk Lascelles. Now, being a centre-back, the fact that Lascelles has a single goal is already a good sign. But I think here I want to highlight more of his defensive duties. He's going to have to be really alert and really aware of everything that's happening around him. This Arsenal squad will be looking to attack from all angles. They'll also be looking to draw the Newcastle defenders into some compromising positions, looking to draw fouls, perhaps getting players booked or even sent off. Lascelles will have to make sure he's disciplined, and the rest of his backline is also just as disciplined. Next up, we look at the head-to-head in the S3M2 Verdict. Now, the last 5 matches between these two sides have ended in 2 Arsenal wins, 2 Newcastle wins, and a single draw between the sides, meaning this one is split very nicely down the middle. It's anybody's game. When you look at the league table, however, it could not be a more different story. Arsenal find themselves 3rd with 55 points, hot on the heels of Manchester City and Liverpool, while Newcastle find themselves in 8th on 37 points, languishing just out of those European spots, but hoping they can possibly get into the Conference League or even the Europa League. I think for Newcastle, the most disturbing fact here is they've been hit with a massive injury blow. While Isak has returned after a lengthy injury spell, they've now lost Callum Wilson, who was Isak's strike partner. The two of them had some fantastic chemistry up front, but they've lost him. They've lost Bruno Guimaraes as midfield partner in Joe Linton. The two managed to form a double pivot where one would go and one would stay, and they'd rotate. And just in that manner, they made sure that Newcastle's midfield always had energy. The engine room was always running. They've lost out on Nick Pope, who is probably, if not one of the best goalkeepers that England has right now. And they've had to turn to Martin Dubravka instead. They've lost out on Willock, who out wide provided so much creativity and dynamism for them. Newcastle are really reeling in that sense. When you look at Arsenal's injuries, I think the headline one there is got to be Thomas Partey, but there's a good chance that he could come back. And Gabriel Jesus. I don't think Gabriel Jesus will be coming back anytime soon, so I think that number 9 hole for Arsenal stays vacant. Mikel Arteta has options there though. He could look at Bukayo Saka, he could look at Gabriel Martinelli, he could ask Trossard as well to fill in there. So it's not all gloom and doom for the Gunners. For Newcastle, however, I think they can take heart in knowing that they've had a few extra days of rest coming into this one. Arsenal having to perform in the midweek against Porto in the Champions League means their squad is maybe just a little fatigued. But then you also think of Arsenal's squad depth, which is a major positive in that squad. Mikel Arteta's got so many players who can play so many different positions. Everybody's interchangeable. He could have players come off the bench to make an impact. He could have players come off at halftime so that they can be rested for next week's fixtures. Newcastle don't have that right now. They're strained, they're struggling for players, and it's difficult right now. I think Arsenal have just too much squad depth there. I think they're looking to keep the pressure on Liverpool and Manchester City, and I think they come out trumps here. I think Newcastle will be looking to play on the counter-attack, but I think Arsenal will just overwhelm them here. I think the match being played at the Emirates also is a massive plus for the Gunners, because they have home side advantage coming into this one. But I do think Newcastle will put up quite a fight. Hi, thank you for making it to the end of this video. We really appreciate the watch time and the fact that you took some time out of your day to spend it with us talking about the sport that we all love. If you enjoyed the content, why not, drop a like down below or comment in the comment section. Maybe even consider subscribing to the channel. And I mean, while you are here right now, have a look at some of our old videos too. They should be appearing on the screen right now, along with that subscribe button. So you know exactly what to do. Thank you so much. It really helps with the YouTube algorithm. And have a great day out there. And we hope to see you again very soon. Thanks. Stay safe.